Zenith Prep Academy has spent the last 15 years perfecting the college admissions strategy by giving guidance, having worked with more than 1,000 families, both nationally and internationally. And with me is Kevin Hong, the program director at Zenith Prep Academy. So, of course, I told you I have a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old,
Sure.
so I'm right in the middle of what you do. But it's never been harder, right, for a kid to get into the college that they prefer. So what does Zenith do to help them in that process?
Sure, I'm glad you asked that. I think every single year more and more students apply to college, and last year, to no one's surprise, there was a record-breaking number of applicants. And so given how competitive things are in today's current college admissions environment, I think the most important thing that we do for these parents and students is really taking them from reactive to proactive so they can take control of the admissions process. It's hard to stand out to these universities if you're just doing the same things as everyone else, and so the focus that we've always had here is really working with each student and understanding their strengths both in and outside the classroom, because ultimately that's what helps them stand out in the admissions process.
Now, you have worked with, I said, 1,000 families. So, I mean, and then you must have a track record of success, and there's a lot of word of mouth, I assume. What do you attribute your success to?
Sure. I think bottom line, we get these parents and students results. And I think a large part of that is not just giving them peace of mind, but also comfort as they go through the process. There's so many unknowns when it comes to college admissions. And so by being able to take them through the process, not only are we able to set the right expectations, but also give them a proven roadmap that we know is going to work.
Yeah. And then what makes you different from some of the other? There's quite a few college prep organizations out there. How is Zenith different?
I think the standard approach out there is to optimize for the university, and the approach that we've always taken here is to really optimize for the student. I think it's easy to say, here are some top universities, here's a checklist of things to do, it's just 1, 2, 3, there's like some kind of template out there, right? But the reality is that each student is really inherently different from another, and so the focus has always been to really work with the student, right? Figure out what they're good at, help them double and triple down on their strengths, because that's what colleges ultimately want to see. They want to see a student that knows what they want, right, can get really good at something and really focus on that.
Mm-hmm. What kind of parents hire you?
I would say more than anything, it's really the parents of 6th to 12th graders that really care about their child's education. I think across America, what's really important for parents is really helping their child just achieve the best. And I think as any parent, can tell you, the most valuable thing that you can give your child is really options in life. And so for us, we really work with 2 demographics of students, right? The first are students that are high academic achievers, as we call them. And so these are students that are going to get all A's, they have a top GPA and SAT score, and for them, it's really preventing them from getting rejected by a top university. And the reason for that is having a top GPA and SAT score no longer guarantees admission even into a top 25 school, and I think that's what shocks a lot of these parents. And the second type of student are students that don't have the best GPA and SAT scores, and for them, it's really about helping them get into a better university than they otherwise thought was possible. Now, the good news is that here in the United States, we have what we call a holistic admissions process, and that's just a long way of saying you can get into a better university, right? Your GPA and SAT score don't necessarily dictate the universities that you have to attend, right? So the truth is, it's easier than most parents and students think, and that's exactly what we've done here for the last 15 years for our families.
So what would be one piece of advice you would give, like the first piece of advice you give to a family? Take your time, be prepared, what would you say?
I would say more than anything, right? I think when it comes to working with these students, even from just a strategy perspective, right? I think the goal that we always have here is to really help the child become the best possible version of themselves. I think there's this really, common misconception that what's most important is that you have to be hyper intelligent, right? It's all about pure intelligence to get into a really good college, when in reality, and this is the advice I would give any parent or student, is that it's really about giving the child as much time as possible, right? Time is what allows for a child to figure out what their strengths are, exponentially grow those strengths, and then continue doing that over enough time so they can really stand out in the admissions process.
Well, super interesting. I'm going to be living it very soon. So Thank you so much, Kevin.
No problem. Thank you, Jane.
Thanks.